Okay. Make sure I get the chat open here so I can see any questions that come up. All right. Well, hey, I'm Dean Jenkins from Follow Me Trades, and I'm going to be talking today about, I call it AI meets ROI, how to use machine learning, human judgment, your judgment for better trades. And we're going to talk about using, a free or nearly free AI tool, ChatGPT, to find great trade ideas. So, yeah, make it interactive. You know, uh, this is for you. So feel free to ask questions as we go along. And David, will I see the questions in the chat, or is there a question section as well? I'll assume it's in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, the chat is the only place. So
Okay,
anything
great.
come up there.
Okay, sounds good. All right, yeah. So like I said, type in any questions you have into the chat, and happy to make it interactive. So, hey, AI for trading, right? Let's let ChatGPT scan for ideas, but our experience as traders do the trading, right? So AI is everywhere. Everybody heard about it. It's what's being talked about, and it does amazing stuff, right? It can write for you. It can trade if you're willing to let it do that, right? I'm going to let it suggest trade ideas, right? And it may even be able to predict market moves, not perfectly, but it's got some real power to that. So it's amazing, what AI can do. And man, it's powerful. And I like technology, so this is fun. But let me ask you something, about AI. Are you ready to turn your trading account over to artificial intelligence? I hear ads on the radio, basically implying that you could do that. Um, I'm just not there, not yet, right? And I actually used AI to create this graphic, and I thought it was funny, right? So I'm not there just yet, right? But I believe AI has a place in trading, and I think it can help. And so I'm going to show you how I am currently using it, and it's going to evolve over time for sure, right? But yeah, I'm not going to just say, okay, go trade my account. No, not yet. All right. Now there are lots of AI trading offerings. If you just do a quick Google search, you're looking for something, right? I did that when I was putting this slide deck together, right? And well over 15 AI-powered trading platforms are available today, right? And they got all kinds of different features, and they certainly offer automated trading, right? And advanced analytics, all kind of stuff. Like I say, technology is cool. I'm a huge fan of technology. I've got a Roomba robot vacuum. They've been making these for 20 years, and it still gets stuck under the furniture, still bumps into the wall. So, it's all evolving, and I'm not handing my trading account over to a robot, not yet. But I think we can leverage AI, right, the power of it, and apply our own knowledge and experience. And I call that AI meets ROI, machine learning, human judgment, better trades. Okay. Now, again, there are, like I said, there's a lot of paid services and platforms out there for AI. And so I just put together a quick little matrix here, right? Because I'm going to suggest, I just want to, I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it pretty cheap. And since I'm not handing control over, right, I really just want some ideas to be generated using AI, right? But, if you got paid AI tools, right, some of those are really expensive, starting $50 to over $200 a month. There are platforms that are several $1,000s. One thing they do have over ChatGPT is real-time data and real-time options flow, but we can work around that, right? Sometimes those tools are limited, to the tool presets. They got a specific focus. The signals it generates may not give you the rationale. It just says, "Hey, here's a trade," right? Without really understanding what's going on under the hood or why they are suggesting something. So it's kind of like a black box, and I'm just not comfortable with that yet. And it could be separate, right? It could generate signals that are separate from a process. Your trading, your trading rules, your trading system that you've developed that you trust, right? So if we do what I call AI meets ROI, right? It's low cost or free. I mean, ChatGPT can be used for free. You have a limited number of queries, but you can pay like for plus for 20 bucks a month, right? And get unlimited queries. It does use delayed or inferred data, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And you can fully customize, you can kind of tailor what it is you ask it to do and refine that and adjust it. And it can add, you can add trade structure and rationale because you know exactly what you asked for and what it's returning. It can force your decision making, right? There's no blind trust involved. You stay in control because you're just getting ideas and you can build it into your trade funnel. So I think these are some compelling reasons to consider adding ChatGPT to your arsenal, again, to generate ideas. Okay. So ChatGPT, understanding it for trading. Here's what ChatGPT, I think everybody pretty well knows, the AI is built on these large language models, but relative to trading, right? They have trained it on, a ton of books on trading, covering everything from trading strategy to behavioral psychology, lots of articles that have been published and are continuing to be published, right? So there's a bit of real time, um, you know, uh, part of it, right? So, financial news, market analysis, economic commentary, um, different research papers, academic insights, algorithms, decision making, web content. So here's where it gets interesting, right? There's blog posts, forums, public websites, there's Substack, there's Reddit, all kinds of stuff, right? Real traders are sharing real ideas. And then instructional content, manuals, guides, tutorials, different websites, Investopedia is one that's got a really rich library, right? This stuff is all indexed and the model's been trained on this. So you get this incredible wealth of trading information, kind of at your fingertips. And it can go, if you go do a Google search now, you got to filter through and which one's relevant. And ChatGPT is excellent at, kind of filtering and summarizing that stuff. So what does all this mean for traders? It's like when you prompt ChatGPT, you're tapping into this digital brain that's trained on decades of accumulated trading wisdom. And that's just powerful, right? It's amazing, actually. Um, and you get to tap into the conversations that traders are having every day. Um, so this bridges the best historical knowledge with evolving real world perspective. And I think it can just help generate smarter, faster ideas, right? Think of it, if you could go into a room where there's 1,000 traders, right, who are talking to each other and sharing ideas, right? Well, you kind of get to listen in using ChatGPT from all those sources on the web, right? So what setups are people watching? What patterns are repeating? What headlines are getting attention? Okay, so it's able to listen in, and you are too by virtue of using it, right? But ChatGPT doesn't know who's right? Who has a real edge or who's just guessing, right? Or who's just plain wrong, right? That's where you come in because you get to take that synthesized, summarized, conversation plus the accumulated wisdom, um, and bring some ideas to the front based on real market conditions and actions, and then decide what am I going to do with this information, right? And apply your existing trading rules and bring it into your existing trading system. All right. So we're going to do a live demo here in a minute, but before we do, it's important to understand the limits. What is it that the AI and ChatGPT in particular I'm focused on, right? Because it's free or nearly free. What it can do really, really well, and then what it can't do, right? It can scan vast amounts of data really, really fast. It can spot patterns, condition based on defined criteria that you define. And this is one of the important things I like using it for, is it can surface ideas that you may not have noticed or even thought about, right? Because a lot of us tend to focus on, the stocks we know, the Magnificent Seven, NVIDIA, Intel, Microsoft, Amazon, right? They're always in the news, right? But boy, there's thousands of publicly traded companies on the major exchanges, the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, right? And many of them are very, very tradable. Maybe, and there's some scanning tools built into the trading platforms. I use Thinkorswim. I used to use TradeStation. So you can build scans, but this is just another completely different scan. So it just might surface things that you had not thought about or noticed. And I like that. And I'll show a couple that it surfaced for me that are doing well. And it can summarize news and earnings reports, price movement very efficiently. Just this massive amount of data that we couldn't just it would take us hours or days or months, right? And again, it can listen into thousands of online conversations. So I think that's pretty compelling, right? But what it can't replace is your judgment, my judgment, and it can't really tell the difference between noise and signal. What's important, right? In the whole conversation going on there. And it's I've worked with it extensively, right? And it can return some very insightful stuff, but it can also be dramatically wrong, right? And it doesn't know the context, right? If you ask ChatGPT, hey, give me a good bullish swing trade idea, it doesn't know your risk tolerance, the capital you're working with, or your time frame. And it won't replace discipline. There's no tool that's going to stop you from chasing trades, over trading, or ignoring your stop loss or your trading rules, right? You got to do that, right? And it can't replace your experience, right? And most of us traders, if you've been doing this a while, you've looked at thousands of charts, and you have particular setups and indicators that you're looking at, and we can see a pattern and can bring up a chart and go, yeah, within a few seconds, go, yeah, that's worth digging in a little deeper or look at it and go, no, never mind, not interested, right? So we can bring our experience to bear. So really just looking at it as a companion to surface ideas that we hadn't thought about, right? So let's put it into action, right? Here is a structured query for ChatGPT. And the goal, I've built about 10 queries that I've tried to find different setups, right? Different conditions. Okay. This one is looking for a bullish reversal after a oversold condition, right? So something has been beaten down, it's dropped significantly, it's in oversold territory, and now we're looking for a bullish reversal. Hey, it's going to head up. So in quotes, here's the exact thing that I type into ChatGPT. Hey, give me a list of US stocks or ETFs trading on, I only want the major exchanges. I don't want over-the-counter stuff, right? So New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ. I want an average daily volume over 1 million shares. I want stuff that trades deeply. It's not thin, right? I want them to have options because most of my trading is with options. And they're currently in a technically oversold territory based on RSI below 30 or recent price action, just a big drop. Focus on potential bullish reversals with recent signs of support or basing patterns. So you can see, I've structured a query. This is exactly what I want ChatGPT to go look for. Now, ChatGPT does not have a real-time plugin, and it's not going to go off and analyze 6,000 charts. Now you can get, APIs or plugins, premium things to plug into ChatGPT where it will read real-time data, but that takes another subscription, right? I'm just trying to keep it simple. I just want to surface some ideas, right? But it's going to go again, it's going to look at historical data for that's been published and primarily that's been talked about in articles and blogs and chat rooms and Substack and stuff, right? So it's going to surface some short-term exhaustion or panic selling, and then we're looking for trying to catch early bullish reversal setups. And with this specific query, I'm not expecting it to be a trade that's like I run the query, I get some results. Oh wow, trading a trade right now, right? I'm going to look for some confirmation. I'm going to apply my own indicators and setup stuff, but I'm looking for ideas that I can watch and add to my watch list, and then keep an eye on to see if they qualify, right? And you can run this same query every day, and the results will change. I've run it, several days sequentially, and like maybe today I run it, tomorrow it's the same, but it's going to change over time as different candidates surface. So it's I think it's cool, right? So the workflow here, and we're going to run it, right? But the workflow is what we do is we paste the query into ChatGPT, and then it's going to return a list. And we're going to look at that list and bring them up on a chart, right? I'm going to analyze the chart on my trading platform because again, all I really want it to do is give me ideas, right? And now I'm going to apply my indicators, my trade setup criteria, run through the trade checklist, and then decide, hey, am I going to take this trade? Is it good now? Or am I going to put it on a watch list and keep an eye on it and see if it fully qualifies, right? And if we find a good idea, you can actually have ChatGPT suggest trade parameters and strategies. Again, I'm not turning my trading over to a robot. I'm not going to just blindly follow it. It goes, oh, do this. Okay, let me go do it. But it's going to give me ideas, and I can maybe even learn. It's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, right? And it might return an option strategy that I haven't thought of for that particular symbol, right? Or again, things I just hadn't thought about. So you can type in something like, show me suggested entry stop target and option strategies for a given symbol, and it will do that. We're going to show it here, right? So we use these suggestions as potential starting points and perhaps some, learning, right? We all want to learn. And just quick, I'm going to show on my chart. So, you're going to see me doing some quick analysis, right? I use a very simple version of Elliott Wave. I use Dow theory, moving averages, trend lines, support and resistance levels, simple version of HTML cloud, a couple more. So when you see my chart, that's what I'm doing there. Okay, live demonstration. So ChatGPT, all right. So because I'm doing this presentation, right before we logged on, I went ahead and posted in the query the exact same one I showed you on the slide, and I ran it just in case the thing glitched, and then I'm standing there going, uh-oh. Okay, so I typed in, give me a list of the stocks, blah, 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 right? And it came back with Apple, and I said, no, give me more, right? Oh, okay, here. And so it came up with APD, INFY, KHC, Pepsi, and United Health as oversold, in a technical oversold position, and perhaps finding support and be ready for the bullish reversal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a pretty manageable list that I can put up on charts and take a look at. And so let's go ahead and do that. All right. So I'll go over here to Thinkorswim. Got my daily chart. And I gotta remember, what was the first one? APD, Air Products. And APD is not on my radar. I'm not thinking about it, looking at it. Okay. So let me just zoom out here, get the big picture on APD. So it had, this kind of stair step up to, looks like all-time highs. And now it's had a really, really big correction. It looks like it got caught up in the market downturn, right, over the whole tariff thing, right? And now it's started coming back up. So this is, kind of ideal, right? Oversold and starting to come back up. So let me zoom in on this just a little bit. Right, and this line is a 50-day moving average. This is a 200-day moving average. This is the HMO cloud. Okay, and I said I used Dow theory. This was a a pretty sharp downtrend, and a downtrend is low, lower high, low, lower high, low, right? And then, oh, look, it turned up with a high, higher low, high, higher low, trying to go higher. Okay, and it stalled right at the 50-day moving average and at the top of the Ichimoku cloud. So I could put a trigger and go, hey, if it gets above here, right, that would be a trigger. I could put an alert and go, hey, if it gets above there, I'm going to come back and look at it. And maybe that would be a good bullish swing trade. Maybe that move up is going to continue. So the chat search returned exactly what I was looking for, something that has been oversold and has found support and is heading back up. So APD is not the best setup for me, and I would actually have a target. You see how it's gone up to the 200-day moving average, and there's a real consolidation. That looks like a resistance area. I'll just draw another one. Right? So if this is a resistance area, then my potential profit, my target, from 283 to 297 is okay, but it's not the best. So it's like, maybe I'll come back and look at it, right? INFY. All right. So I can already tell I like this one more. I always like to get just a big picture. Okay. And so this had this big, big run up, back and forth, and then this big oversold went lower than here, but it ultimately found support and it's heading up. So that is sort of interesting, I think, to me. And after lower lows, lower highs, right? Then it got, high, higher, low, gap up, pull back a little bit. So this one, and so far today, it's traded 2.9 million shares. So, by the end of the session, it's going to have more. So it's got plenty of liquidity, right? And it had this gap up, it pulled down into the gap. Typically, gap provide support. A gap up provides support. So again, if it turns around and it takes out this high from Monday, well, that would be a trigger for me. I kind of like that. And in terms of a target, and you can see this was a prior resistance level. So yeah, we want it to break through that, and then it could be a go. And it doesn't seem to respond to the 200-day moving average, kind of move right through it. It's above the 50. So in terms of a target, probably up here at this resistance level here. So that could be a pretty good target, right? If we call it $19 up to 22.50, that's $3.50 on a $19 stock, right? That's over 10%. So, I'll take 10%. If we're doing options, which I would be, I would take a call option on this. Just go one strike in the money, nice call option. And yeah, if this thing moves 10%, that's going to be a really, really nice winner. Let's look at one more from the list here, right? Kraft Heinz, KHC, and I saw they were in the news. They're going to spend a couple billion on factories in the U.S. All right. So they're clearly oversold, and they are down today, even on the news of building a new factory. And this is a new low. So there was a pretty good support level here and here. Let's draw a line. I like my drawing tools, right? Pretty good support level here. And then it went down through it. So it's oversold. And again, and ChatGPT doesn't have real-time data. So it may have been thinking, hey, it's supported here, and it was supporting here, but it's blown through it. So until this downtrend starts, that one's not on my list. Okay. Pepsi, one more. So same thing. It's in oversold. It may have, ChatGPT may have been thinking this was a support area ready for a reversal until this stops this downtrend because it's, putting in new lows in the downtrend. then I'm not interested. So let's go back to INFY, which I said, pretty close. I'm kind of interested in it. And if it were to trigger above this level, um, I might like that. So let's see if ChatGPT will work. I'm going to type in, suggest, set up a bullish swing. Let's type here. So suggest a bullish swing trade setup for INFY with entry stop target and option strategy. So it says. See if it works. Every once in a while, here it comes. It'll go, oh, it's taking a little time, right? So trade thesis. This is pretty cool, isn't it? Right? Hey, it's below 30, it's oversold, prices recently stabilized. We saw that. Formed a basing pattern. India's tech sector is improving. So entry trigger 1725. Let's see what I had. Okay. So it's actually saying it already triggered at down here for the breakout. Okay. Stop loss at 1625 would be way down here. I think we can put it here. Again, so we're not going to follow it. Target 1850. So it's working off data a couple of days old. And this is why we got to understand what it's doing, right? Target 2, 1975. I think it's looking at that gap. So they're saying option strategy, bull call spread. I actually hate spreads because they have a limited upside, right? I like some other, for a trade like this, I'm just going to go buy the calls. One strike in the money, 30 to 60 days out. That's the highest. That's the best reward to risk. There's also a call back ratio spread that I like. Straight spread like this, I don't like because um, a poor reward to risk. You have a capped, pretty small max profit, and you have a pretty large max risk if things go sideways. So in this case, it didn't help me in terms of a strategy, and these prices are off a little bit. But that's actually a good demo because it highlights the point that you want to take this with a grain of salt and go, wait, no, okay, I understand this was a couple days old. Yeah, all right. But I've done that same exact thing where it actually came up with some good ideas that helped me make a decision about what I'm going to do. So I find that pretty valuable. So let me stop for a second. And anybody have any questions? Or do you have any symbols? Type in a couple stock symbols or ETFs, and let's see what ChatGPT has to say about it. And while you're doing that, if you would like to get a copy of a PDF that has this this query that you can just cut and paste. Here's the query and some instructions. I'll type that into the chat. Okay. I think David is away for a minute, so I'll put the chat in myself. Here we go. So in the chat is a link where you can go and download a PDF, and it's got some instructions, and you can copy this this query and just paste it right in. And there's some ideas there about how to modify that query as well. And AQ Jones, are you able to do ETFs? Absolutely. Works just the same for ATFs. Oh, look, we got a ton of symbols, right? So let's do a couple here, okay? Let's see what ChatGPT says. And Arsha, there's MO, Altria. So I'll just assume it's a bullish swing trade, unless you tell me something different, right? Let's just ask it, right? Is there a good bullish swing trade set up for MO? See what it says. Yes, there appears to be a promising bullish swing trade set up for Altria Group based on current technical indicators. RSI indicates MO is in oversold, suggesting a potential rebound. It's approaching a support level, could serve as a base for bullish roulette. And then here's the trade setup it's suggesting. So let's go look at MO and see if we agree. So here's the oversold that they're talking about, right? A pullback, and it went through this low, right? So this little high, this little run up, high, higher low, new high, right? And then it gapped down. Doesn't look like that was earnings. No, so there's some kind of news, right? But it's still making lows. So until that finds support and heads back up. Now, this thing has, it ran up here, it ran up here, it ran up here after pullback. So it could do it again, but I got to see a little more evidence. So that doesn't look good yet, right? Okay. Oh, Ginger. Hey, good to have you here. Hey, David is back. Okay. All right. Let me do a couple more from people's list here. The Way says IREN. I don't know IREN. So I'm always interested to look at something I haven't heard of. IREN Limited. So the first thing I notice is 9.7 million shares so far today. So it's obviously pretty liquid. I don't know what they do, what sector they're in. Here's a big view of the chart, right? It was obviously trending up, uptrend, and then it looks like on earnings last cycle, started heading down. Here we got earnings today after the market. So for me, there's a specific play for earnings, but I don't do a swing trade into earnings, right? Because it can be disruptive. There's a way to play earnings for sure. So they're going to announce after the close today. So for me, I would just wait on this one till after the earnings. Okay. Let's see, you got a couple messages. Does this work on futures? Sandra's asking. I haven't tried it. I suspect it would be the same. And now I know a lot of people day trade futures. And so this would not work because it's not real-time data, right? You'd have to get a plug-in. There may be other tools. So this is, what I'm doing with ChatGPT is set up for daily chart swing trading. And given it doesn't have real-time data, I can't see how you would use that for day trading. Okay, got it. Eva says ChatGPT said he had to provide real-time data. Is that for futures, Eva? Is that your comment? For anything? Well, interesting. Maybe interesting. So I do have the plus count, and I had the plus. Here's the little plus thing, right? Before I started doing this, so maybe you got to have plus, but that's it's $20 a month, so that's not too bad. Okay. So MN is asking, how does AI search results compare to similar TOS scan results? What's different about ChatGPT? So TOS is just going to go look at indicator values, right? or whatever you put into a scan in Thinkorswim, right? It can be indicator values, it can be financial information, market cap, average volume, all that kind of stuff. Those are things you can put into a Thinkorswim's scan. What ChatGPT can do that Thinkorswim can't do is go listen in on literally thousands of conversations that are taking place on Substack and Reddit and in news articles and use historical data, right? And go, wow, it looks like there's a lot of discussion about a long trade on um, Apple or something like that, right? So that's a unique thing, and and you don't get the real time data. So you could, I still use Thinkorswim scans, right? In addition to, I'm just looking for ChatGPT AI to provide some additional ideas, and it's done that. So pretty helpful. All right, all right. Um, Let me do one more. Wolf, WL. We've looked at this one in our trading room, and it's been a fun one. Okay, so definitely oversold, right? Big move down. Looks like it's starting up. This actually looks pretty good. Um, and maybe the 200-day moving average as a first target, which is at 479. Current price is at 372. So you're going to make a buck, which is 25% on a $3 stock, right? $3.72 stock. So that's a pretty good move. So and it actually looks, I like it kind of right now. I think it's qualified, right? High, higher, low, high, higher, low, heading up, a little better entry, a little pullback, right? So I like it now. And I would put a stop right here under the 50, under this price bar. My target would be, well, it went right through the 200. So here's a prior pivot, right? So that would be my target. And then if I were to take an entry right now, you can see my reward to risk is good. This is my risk for my entry to my stop. This is my reward for my entry to my target. So this is like over 2 to 1. So yeah, I like that right now. So let's see if AI likes it. Okay. All right. Wolf. Let me just go copy my last one. And what does it say? All right. Presents potential bullish swing trade opportunity based on recent technical blah, 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 blah. Strong upward momentum near the high of its recent range. Let's see. They say entry 375. Pretty close to that's actually right where I drew it a minute ago. Stop at 330. They're a little higher. I think they're right in here. Target 1, 420, 480. I'm above that. Okay. And they're doing a spread because there's lots of articles out there about spreads, right? Yeah. Um, all right. Not my thing. But so this in this case, it didn't tell me anything other than agreeing, right? Hey, there's a pretty good bullish swing trade setup on this one. But yeah, who was it that suggested Wolf? So that's a good one, and making note of it. And I said we traded it before, all right? So thank you for that one. All right, you are welcome. All right. So that's kind of how I use it. I use it to surface ideas, and then I go look at the chart, and I decide if I want to take that trade. Oh, I want to show you it actually works, right? So not every, like we saw, not everything it returns is going to be like, oh wow, there's the best trade of the year. But some of them are really, really good. And so as I was developing this and really, kind of refining this query thing, it gave me PayPal. It said, hey, PayPal is a good one. And this was a couple of weeks ago. And so I took this trade because it met all my criteria, and I published it to my subscribers. And so we took an entry at 62, and we've been riding this thing all the way up. Right now, 72.54. Now it looks like it's going to flatten out. So I think we'll close this trade. But $10 move on a $62 stock, I like it. And the options, ridiculous profit, over 100%. So yeah, it worked. And then a couple of days ago, I ran the query and it returned Robinhood, right? And I saw it and I liked it and I took it and I published it. And we got in here at 5308, and 1, 2, 3, 4 days later, right? We're at 62, almost a $10 move, over a 10% move. So it found an excellent one. And I've traded Robinhood before, but it wasn't really on my radar at the moment. It was like, so it came up in that query, and I came and looked, and oh yeah, look at this. And so there's a couple that have turned into yeah, nice trades that I found with this exact method. So how about that? All right. So if put in this information, so you run the query, it returns some ideas. If a trade that's identified that's ready now, like Robinhood was, it's like, wow, great, we'll take the trade. If it meets your trading plan, your criteria, then I'll take the trade. More often than not, like we looked at a couple of these INFY, um, uh, it may have good potential, but it needs something before the criteria to trade is met. So I've put these candidates on what I call a watch list. And I prefer that, right? Find a candidate, it may qualify, may meet some criteria, let the trade come to me. I think that's a pretty orderly way to approach trading, right? And I use this funnel, right? So all the inputs into my funnel, I use AI, I use thinkorswim scans, sometimes members, subscribers to the service. We have a live uh, trading room, just like one of the members here today said, "Hey, go look at Wolf," right? So we get ideas like, "Oh yeah, yeah, looks good," right? We read the news and then previous things we've traded because you get familiar with it and you go, "Okay, we had a nice trade there. After it does its thing, let's go back and see if there's another one." So all these are inputs into this funnel. And then, initially though, that okay, it's on the radar. We're going to watch this one. It's an interesting early stage candidate. And then as it gets closer, it's like, okay, it's in focus. We're watching really, really closely for the trigger. And then if the trigger comes, and you see this in arrows, right? Not everything that gets on the radar makes it to the top, right? But then it's like, okay, it's fully qualified, right? Hey, that trade is ready to go. And then I've published for my subscribers on my Substack, right? Hey, these trades are open, they're managed, right? These are the ones that made it through the funnel. They're the best of the best, like that PayPal trade and the Robinhood trade, right? So this is kind of the flow from idea to execution, right? Inputs to the funnel, good candidates, let them qualify. Not all will, some will drop off, right? So this is how I approach it here. All right. So again, I call it AI meets ROI, machine learning, human judgment, right? So, hey, I hope you found this information interesting, useful. Covered, hey, how you can use AI, free, nearly free, and even said, by the way, that her version of ChatGPT is now returning. It just took a minute there, I guess, to think about it. So we covered, hey, how you can use free or nearly free ChatGPT to find some trade ideas and some thoughts about how to put those ideas into action, right? I gave you a link, it takes you to a web page where you can get a download of that PDF, right? So there's some more information available, right? I referenced it, right? So I have a subscription service, stock and option picks, Real Traders Club, right? So we meet Monday through Thursday each morning daily, right? And we're working that process. We're using AI and other sources to get things into the funnel, trade ideas, right? And then we qualify them, real trades, real details. These are high conviction stock and option trades. When I publish them, they have the entry, the stop, the target, the rationale. Why are we doing this trade? What's the setup? And then ongoing updates, right? Trade management as conditions evolve. Um, if subscribers get access to the watch list, so that funnel I showed, right? You see the trades listed that are progressing at the different levels, right? So it's a transparent, structured trade flow from early idea to executed setup, right? And then live sessions Monday to Thursday. Um, we do it 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, so a half hour after the market's open. We do market analysis and we analyze trades that are in the funnel. We look for new ones to come into the funnel, manage the open ones. And you're welcome to attend that real time, or you can watch the recordings, or not at all, right? Because you can just go look at the trades on the list and get the alerts if you choose not to. But it's a really positive trading community. It's not just signals coming out, right? It's a strong community. Ideas are shared and refined. Quite often, the subscribers, have something to share. We'll open the mic, they talk, right? Many of them have been with my service for several years, and we got a great relationship. So, and there's no trolls. It's a positive place where you can come learn and submit your ideas, get them analyzed, ask questions. So, and we do ongoing education in the room. We pick a topic and we see something on a chart and go, hey, this is a really good teaching moment, right? Here's how to analyze this chart, some tools you can use, right? So overall, it's a good community, good service, right? And discount right now. I've just moved it over to my Substack and getting that cooking, right? So you can get a year of the picks and participation in the live trading session, access to all the trades in the funnel for $249 for a whole year. So that's 40% off the list price, right? So you can sign up now and you can get access to my premium Substack and you're able to join us live in the mornings. So that's at that same link, right, where you get the PDF. And then, oops, that's not it. And David is so helpful. There it is. So there is the link to that webpage, download the PDF and the offer to join the service for a year for $249. Very reasonable, I think. Okay. So that is the end of my prepared presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And again, I hope you found it interesting and helpful. We got some new information there. I would be happy to take any questions. We're at quarter till. Um, so before 15 minutes before the next speaker comes up, but you can either take a break or, if you got questions, just type them in there. A couple thank you. Hey, you're very welcome. Thank you for your time, for your attention. All right. Marcia says, how long are we in the trading room? It really depends. The typical, we start at 7 a.m. Pacific, and we typically go about a half hour to 45 minutes. If there's a lot going on, a lot of trades or questions, we'll go as long as it takes, but the typical is 30 to 45 minutes. And so, hey, you're welcome. Thank you. All right, David, it looks like it's wrapping up here. So I don't know, do you want me to hang out or just take a break before the next presenter?
Yeah, we have a few minutes if maybe you want to look at more symbols requested or
Yeah, there were a couple more on the list, so I can run through those that I didn't get to. So we
yeah,
can do
let's
that.
yeah, if you have the time, let's use up your
Yeah.
time.
Okay, so there was another one here, MSTR. I think that's MicroStrategy, MSTR. MicroStrategy. All right. And, it's a high volatility, kind of like SMCI, right? All right. So this is a classic. I told you I use a very simple version of Elliott Wave. This is a classic Elliott Wave presentation. This is a big impulsive wave three. This is a wave four correction, and this is a wave five up. And I've looked at enough charts to recognize it, but I'll show you why that was a perfect wave four correction. So this is the expected wave four correction zone, 38.2 to 61.8%. You can see it came right to here, and it found support on the 200-day moving average in the correction zone. So this is ideal. And after this big wave three up, this wave four correction, we expect the probability is that there will be a wave five bullish follow through, and we do it like this. We just use Fibonacci extensions. All right. I had to mute there for just a minute, sneezing. All right, Fibonacci extension. So what the extensions give us is a target zone for the eventual wave five move. Now we've had this very linear move here. It's unlikely that that will continue all the way into the target zone. And after a move like this, we expect, it doesn't go straight up, right? We expect, we got a kind of a minor thing here of a high, higher, low, high, higher, low, high. There may be bigger pullbacks as it works its way up, right? So after this is a pretty big run and it's starting to flatten out, in my experience, we would see some kind of pullback here. So I would let that happen and then wait for the reversal, a candle or two, and then take that trade and then, manage it up. So I like that one. That's a watch list, right? Put it on the watch list. Let it come to us. PLTR. All right. I always like to zoom out, big picture, right? And PLTR is the software company, right? Palantir, yeah, right. Big into DoD and some other places. Right. All right. There was wave three. There was wave four. We're in five now. And the question is, how much is left? We have to go back to the very start of the wave, but I'm not gonna do the retracements, just the extensions. Right? But so the target zone for wave five, based on the move up and the correction, is here. So we're just getting into it. Now remember, on the last one, I said, after this big move up, there's typically a pullback before it resumes the uptrend. So that's exactly what happened here. So this next uptrend is happening. And so this, I would be comfortable taking that long now, and I would put my stop here at that, it pulled up. That's a support level, right? And now let it run until it does it again. So I like PLTR long, and they're past earnings. So kind of clear sailing for a long on PLTR. So Marcia, there you go. I'm liking that one. All right, so we had a question come in down here. What's the name of the chat GBT bot? So the one I'm using is ChatGPT 4.0. Right? That's the ChatGPT. All right. So back to the list of symbols. LTR, DocuSign was the last one. We traded this before with success. All right, let's go big picture. Well, obviously it's fallen out of favor, right? All-time high, it looks like, was up over 300. And here we are at 90. That's a big drop. Okay. Now it channeled along here on the bottom, and this move up off the bottom, we can use Elliott wave. So let's just expand it and dramatize it a bit, right? So there's our impulsive move. There's our correction now. It may have gone too deep, so we got to measure this, right? We're gonna, yeah, from here. Okay, so it didn't. So if it went past this red line, which is 76.4 Fibonacci retracement, then that's no longer a correction. It becomes the next impulsive move. So right now, this is the impulsive move. This is the correction. And now this is the what's called the continuation. And that would be wave 5, right? So we go here to here, oops, to here, and identify the target zone, which is up here, 104 to 126. Now, what's interesting here with DocuSign is in the correction, right? Downtrend, low, lower high, low, lower high, low. And then it changed direction, uptrend, high, higher, low, high, higher, low, high. Just took out this high. Okay. Now this is run up. Right? This leg is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Right. That's gonna exhaust at some point. We don't really know when. So if we look at recent history, this was, 5 or 6 days. This was 6 or 7 days, right? Um, so far they've been a little bit short-lived, right? And so it's expected that it would go high, higher, low, high, higher, low. But I'm gonna let it play out. I'm gonna let this see if it pulls back, reverses up, then try to catch that next leg, right? So that would be how I play it. But it's definitely in an uptrend. And you could, just run, with a stop down here under this support level and be willing to sit through, its move up. Just depends, do you want to be in the trade for days or you want to be in it for weeks, right? And like I said, if you were just more patient and go, yeah, I just want to kind of sit there for the whole thing, then I would get like an option 60 to 90 days out and, put your stop down here and then let it play out. If you were in I only want to be in a couple of days, then I would let it pull back and reverse and then try to catch the next 4 or 5 day move if it repeats this pattern. So that is the list. And I think we're now, yeah, 5 minutes. So I will go ahead and wrap up here. So thank you again, traders, for your time and attention. Thank you, David, for inviting me to be here. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Oh, Marcia says, what chart I'm using? I think there's one. Okay, that is a wrap.
All right. Thanks, Dean.
Yeah.